In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football games happening on October 14, 2023 and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games. So 2 picks for each game, 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Oregon versus Washington. The biggest game in college football this week is the top 10 showdown between the Oregon Ducks and the Washington Huskies out in Seattle, Washington. It's the first real high-profile spot for a Pac-12 conference that has 7 teams inside the top 25 rankings, with these 2 topping them all. I guess all of these schools decided to go out with a bang before the conference dissolves after this season. The winner of this game is really in the driver's seat though when it comes to playing in the conference championship later on this season, as college football playoff potential becomes a talking point for the winner as well. Those are some high stakes for a mid-October game, but you can't ask for anything more as college football fans and bettors. With Washington laying a field goal at home, odds makers are telling you they view this as a pick'em type game if it were on a neutral field, and at least from an entertainment standpoint, it would be great to see this game played out like that. The Oregon Ducks are 5-0 this season after they defeated Stanford by a score of 42-6 in their last game. Oregon trailed 6-0 in the second quarter, but they scored the final 42 points in the game for the easy win. The Ducks outgained Stanford by a total of 506-222 and went 6-9 on third downs in the game. Oregon has also defeated Portland State, Texas Tech, Hawaii, and Colorado. The Oregon offense is scoring 52 points per game with 330.6 passing yards per game and 227.2 rushing yards per game, while going 50.9% on third downs. Bo Nix has thrown for 1,459 yards, 15 touchdowns, and 1 interception for the Ducks this year. Bucky Irving has rushed for 393 yards and 4 touchdowns, while Troy Franklin has caught 32 passes for 535 yards and 7 scores. The Oregon defense is allowing 12 points against per game this year. The Washington Huskies are 5-0 this season after they defeated Arizona by a score of 31-24 in their last game. Washington led 21-10 at the half, but they were outscored by a total of 14-10 in the second half. The Huskies outgained Arizona by a total of 474-342 and went 6-10 on third downs in the win. Washington started the season with 4 straight wins against Boise State, Tulsa, Michigan State, and California. The Washington offense is averaging 46 points per game with 446.4 passing yards per game and 123 rushing yards per game, while going 47.9% on third downs. Michael Penix Jr. has thrown for 1,999 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions for the Huskies this year. Dylan Johnson has rushed for 240 yards and 4 touchdowns, while Rome Odens has caught 32 passes for 608 yards and 4 scores. The Washington defense is giving up 18 points against per game this season. We'll see a couple of future NFL quarterbacks, and both teams own plenty of firepower on the offensive side of the ball. On paper, Oregon looks like a better defensive team than Washington, but the Huskies have done a good job against rushing thus far and will be ready for Oregon's powerful ground game. Back in Week 4, Washington held California to 139 rushing yards on 35 totes, and the Golden Bears heavily lean on their ground game. The Ducks' defensive line might make a difference. Oregon desperately needs to disrupt Michael Penix Jr. in the pocket, and the Ducks have logged 18 sacks so far this season. On the other side, the Huskies have registered just 6 sacks thus far. With how explosive both offenses can be, chances are the winner of this game comes from which defense gets that key stop at that key time. Oregon is 3-1 straight up and against the spread in its last 4 dates with Washington, and the Huskies have only covered 3 times in their previous 18 meetings with the Ducks. Furthermore, the Ducks have gone 7-1 against the spread over their last 8 road tilts versus Washington. On the other hand, the Huskies are undefeated in 10 straight outings at home, going 7-3 against the spread in the process. Remember, Oregon has at least dealt with some adversity on the road already this year, down in Texas Tech, where the Ducks won the 4th quarter 20-3 to ultimately prevail 38-30 in the game. A small halftime lead was completely gone by the time the fourth quarter started, and it took a Ducks field goal with 1 minute 10 seconds left for Oregon to grab the lead again. A pick six from Oregon's defense sealed the game away, and I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if this week's game at Washington has a similar ending. Oregon's felt that pressure already this year and came through the other side, something I do believe separates them in this one if it's close throughout as expected. Washington should be favored at home, as it's the one key edge in this massive Pac-12 contest that has serious playoff implications. Heck, Michael Penix is the Heisman betting favorite at many books right now. With all that said, and as good as Washington is, it still can't run the football, and its pass defense is questionable, ranking 94th in the country. Oregon is probably the most balanced offense in the country, and its defense has been far more consistent. Oregon has been the more impressive team up to this point. Add in a little revenge on the Ducks side, and this looks to me to be the spot that Washington's 12-game winning streak comes to an end. I'm not sure Washington will react strongly to being down in this game, which I expect will happen, and when I'm getting points with the better defense in a game, I've got to take the underdog. So the Oregon Ducks to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Washington leads the nation in total yards per play, and Oregon ranks third. Last year, the Huskies edged the Ducks 37-34, and Penix Jr. went 2-6 of 35 for 408 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. On the other side, Nix completed 19 of his 28 passing attempts for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns while scoring once on his own. Oregon outgained Washington 592-522 in total yards, and the Ducks racked up a staggering 312 yards on the ground. Interestingly, the under is 5-1 in Oregon's last 6 games overall, 4-2 in Washington's last 6 contests overall, and 4-1 in their previous 5 head-to-head duels. On the flip side, the over is 9-2-1 in the Huskies' last 12 home games. Last season, the matchup between these two teams at Autzen Stadium still nearly managed to get past the total despite each team having 2 turnovers in opposing territory, with 2 of those 4 turnovers coming inside the opponent's 10-yard line. Yet, that game still finished 37-34 for a total of 71 points. A year later, and these offenses are much more efficient than they were last fall, with both quarterbacks playing the best football of their careers. I'd expect some quick strike scoring and explosive plays early on from both teams, and even after the game settles down, the more methodical drives for both sides should result in touchdowns, not field goals. Each coach will be incentivized to get 7 every chance they can get, knowing that the other side has tremendous firepower. With Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. under center, we should see a few big plays and another high-scoring affair. There is expected to be about a 40-50% chance of rain in the forecast on Saturday, but both of these teams are more than used to playing in those elements, so that doesn't frighten me off this total in the slightest. Although the line has been set sky high, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Massachusetts versus Penn State. The Massachusetts Minutemen pay a visit to University Park, Pennsylvania on Saturday to play the number 6 ranked Penn State Nittany Lions. Massachusetts was defeated by Toledo 41-24 last Saturday, and the Minutemen have lost each of the last 6 after opening the regular season with a victory. Penn State improved to a perfect 5-0 following its 41-13 victory over Northwestern. Tyne Baldwin Jr. is out for Massachusetts while 3 others are questionable. Penn State has a laundry list of injuries including Tyler Johnson, DK Kensey, and Mason Robinson amongst others. Several others are questionable. The Minutemen's season kicked off with a nice 41-30 win over New Mexico State, but the team hit the skids after that. The next 5 games were all losses: 59-14 to Auburn, 41-28 to Miami, Ohio, 19-17 to Eastern Michigan, 34-31 to New Mexico, and 52-28 versus Arkansas State. Massachusetts' Mark Pope caught 6 balls for 85 yards to lead the receivers in the loss versus the Red Wolves. Last weekend versus Toledo, the Minutemen had a 21-17 edge at halftime, but scored just 3 points the rest of the way in a 41-24 loss. Taysom Famachan threw for 272 yards, 2 scores, and a pick. Kayron Adams was the lead rusher on 157 yards and a score, while Anthony Simpson added 7 catches for 140 yards and a touchdown. Over on the Penn State side, it's been smooth sailing so far. The Nittany Lions have bagged 5 straight wins, and none of them has really been close. Penn State kicked off with a 38-15 win over West Virginia, then a 63-7 blowout versus Delaware. Next up was a 30-13 win over Illinois and a 31-0 shutout against Iowa. In their last appearance versus Northwestern back on September 30th, Penn State started fairly slow, and entered the third quarter tied 10-10. The Lions turned it on from there and won 41-13, though quarterback Drew Aller finished with 189 yards and 1 touchdown, while Nick Singleton led the rush with 80 yards and a score on 21 carries. Keandre Lambert-Smith was tops in receiving on 86 yards from 4 catches. There's absolutely no doubt that Penn State wins this game. The question is simply by how many points will the Nittany Lions decimate the Minutemen by. Penn State scores the 11th most points in the country and allows the second fewest points in the country. Massachusetts' strength on offense is its passing game, which is 53rd in the country, but the Minutemen face a tough challenge on Saturday as Penn State is first in the nation in passing yardage allowed at just 139.6 yards per game. If Massachusetts believes they can take to the ground rather than the air, they should think twice, as Penn State is allowing an average of only 71 yards rushing per game, which is 6th best in the country. Penn State's offense is as good as its defensive, scoring 41 points per game and gaining 430.4 yards per game. Penn State averages 194 yards rushing per game, which is 26th in the country, and faces a Massachusetts defense that allows an average of 220.1 yards rushing per game, which is 131st, or 2 from the bottom in the nation. Massachusetts is 2-4 against the spread in the last 6 played, while Penn State has covered the spread in 6 straight games. The only reason I cannot see Penn State going all out for the cover and extending their 5-0 against the spread streak is that Ohio State is lurking on the horizon. However, I cannot bet against James Franklin. This is a man that loves to cover spreads. I don't think he has ever said anything publicly, but you can tell by his play calling that he knows what the number is as the clock winds down. For example, in Week 1 the Nittany Lions were favored by 21 points against West Virginia. They held a 31-15 lead with 6 seconds left. Instead of taking a knee, they opted to run a play and added a 6-yard touchdown. I can throw all of the stats in the world at you for this game, but the truth is that Penn State probably is at least 7 touchdown favorites over Massachusetts. They should smoke these guys. So the Penn State Nittany Lions to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Even though Penn State is allowing an average of only 10 points per game, the Nittany Lions are scoring plenty, averaging 41 points per game. Massachusetts is allowing an average of 39 points per game, and the total has finished over in 7 of the Minutemen's last 8 games. The total has also finished over in 9 of Penn State's last 13 games. Massachusetts is likely not to put more than 10 points on the board against a tough Penn State defense, but the Nittany Lions will score 50 points or more. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Texas Agricultural and Mechanical versus Tennessee. Tennessee is set to host Texas Agricultural and Mechanical for the 5th ever meeting between these two college football programs, marking their 3rd encounter as conference opponents. The history between these teams dates back to 1957 when Coach Bear Bryant led the Aggies, but it was the Tennessee Volunteers who emerged triumphant with a 3-0 victory in Jacksonville, Florida. Since Texas Agricultural and Mechanical's entrance into the Southeastern Conference, they have held the upper hand with a perfect 2-0 record against the Volunteers, securing wins under the guidance of coaches Kevin Sumlin and Jimbo Fisher. As the series stands deadlocked at 2-2, the 19th-ranked Tennessee squad is poised for a historic Southeastern Conference triumph against Texas Agricultural and Mechanical, bolstered by their win over South Carolina and bye weeks worth of rest. Texas Agricultural and Mechanical were competitive in the last game against Alabama, but it wasn't enough, and they ended up losing 26-20. Texas Agricultural and Mechanical scored only 3 points in the second half, and that wasn't enough. Max Johnson completed 14 of his 25 passes for 239 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Overall this season, Texas Agricultural and Mechanical is averaging 35.5 points, while their defense is giving up 20 points per game. The offense is ranked 25th in the league, while the defense is ranked 36th. Tennessee comes into this game with a 4-1 record overall, and they looked good in the last game against South Carolina. Tennessee scored 41 points, and the defense gave up only 20 on the way to the comfortable victory. Even though Tennessee won the last game, Joe Milton had another up-and-down game. He completed 21 of his 32 passes for 239 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Jalen Wright rushed for 123 yards and a touchdown. Tennessee is averaging 36 points, while their defense is giving up 18 points points per game. In this game, Milton is going to need to be good. Tennessee have been on a resurgent path this season, boasting a 4-1 record and coming off a crucial Southeastern Conference win against South Carolina. Their home field advantage at Neyland Stadium, where they've won 12 consecutive games, cannot be underestimated. Since Josh Upel took over in Knoxville, the Volunteers are 18-13-0 against the spread overall. Moreover, Texas Agricultural and Mechanical, their opponent, has proven vulnerable against strong Southeastern Conference teams like Alabama and LSU. The college football system can be cruel. Texas Agricultural and Mechanical started the season in the top 25 with aspirations to make a run to the college football playoff. Now, after 2 losses, the feeling of hope in the air will begin to dissipate. The Aggies could win every game for the rest of the year and still miss the Southeastern Conference Championship game and CFP. This will be reflected in their play, as Tennessee will pounce on the disappointed Aggies. The Volunteers have just 1 loss and are still capable of reaching their preseason goals. Tennessee has been excellent at home and scored 40 or more in 3 of their 4 home games. Jimbo Fisher is down to his backup quarterback and may begin to lose his team if this goes poorly. Texas Agricultural and Mechanical is coming off a hard-fought, frustrating loss to Alabama, and you wonder how the players will respond with another tough road game the next week. The Tennessee Volunteers haven't lost at home in nearly 2 years, and they're one of the most balanced teams in the country that's ranked 23rd both in scoring offense and scoring defense. Tennessee has also had an extra week to prepare for this game, with the Volunteers having had ample time to rest and prepare during their bye week and the added motivation to secure their first ever Southeastern Conference win against Texas Agricultural and Mechanical. It's a prime opportunity to capitalize on their momentum. Motivation and home field advantage give the edge to the Volunteers. The line being this soft is surprising to me, so the Texas Volunteers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Tennessee found their rhythm against South Carolina and scored 41 against the Southeastern Conference defense. The Volunteers also had a week off, which will allow their offense to scheme up and perfect new looks to use against the Texas Aggies. The Aggies lost their starting quarterback, but have not lost much value as Max Johnson has looked capable in his opportunities. The Aggies put up 20 with Johnson against the Alabama defense, so they will be able to find some offense against Tennessee. Texas Agricultural and Mechanical has gone over the total 2 weeks in a row, highlighting that they can still score without Weigman. When the Tennessee Volunteers play at home, the over has hit an impressive 13 times out of 18 games, showcasing their ability to put up points and create high-scoring contests in front of their passionate home crowd. Additionally, in Texas Agricultural and Mechanical Southeastern Conference games within the same time frame, the over has hit 11 times out of 19, highlighting their tendency to engage in high-scoring battles against conference opponents. With both teams possessing offensive firepower and the over historically favoring their playing styles, this game presents a promising opportunity to bet on an exciting, high-scoring affair that surpasses the 55.5-point threshold. The Volunteers have scored over 40 in back-to-back weeks and will push game score past the total. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.